This is Coffee with God, and I am Father Jose. Let us begin this day with the Word of God and a short reflection.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John, chapter 20, verses 24 to 29. The passage is taken from the Message version of the Bible. But Thomas, sometimes called the twins, one of the 12, was not with them when Jesus came. The other disciples told him, "We saw the Master." But he said, "Unless I see the nail holes in his hands, put my fingers in the nail holes, and stick my hand in his side, I won't believe it." 8 days later, his disciples were again in the room. This time, Thomas was with them. Jesus came through the locked doors, stood among them, and said, "Peace to you." Then he focused his attention on Thomas. "Take your finger and examine my hands. Take your hand and stick it in my side. Don't be unbelieving. Believe." Thomas said, "My Master, my God." Jesus said, "So you believe because you have seen with your own eyes. Even better blessings are in store for those who believe without seeing." The Gospel of the Lord.
Reflections on the Holy Gospel according to St. John chapter 20 verses 24 to 29. When Jesus appeared after the resurrection, some rejoiced while others doubted. Thomas the Apostle was not among those who received that first vision of the risen Jesus. Jesus made him wait for a week before showing himself to Thomas. The Lord knows when and how to do things. It took Thomas 8 days to come to terms with what he had asked for, to place his fingers on Jesus' wounds and to believe that he had risen from the dead. He professed his faith in the Lord after turning from unbelief to faith in the resurrection. A week later, when Jesus stood before him, Thomas was not just certain that the Lord is truly risen, but he was convinced that his Master, with whom he spent 3 years, is God himself, as he cries out, "My Lord and my God." St. Thomas has shown us a way to identify Jesus by touching his wounds. How can we find the wounds of Jesus today? We cannot see them as Thomas saw them, but we find them by touching the injured bodies of our brethren. For they are hungry, thirsty, naked, humiliated, slaves, in prison and in hospitals. These are the wounds of Jesus in our day. A mere act of philanthropy or service to society is not sufficient. Reaching out to our needy brothers and sisters around us enable us to touch the wounds of Jesus. Pope Francis reminds us that we must touch the wounds of Jesus and caress them. We must heal the wounds of Jesus with tenderness. We must literally kiss the wounds of Jesus. The life of St. Francis of Assisi changed when he embraced the leper because he touched the living God and lived in adoration. What Jesus asks us to do with our works of mercy, the Pope concluded, is what St. Thomas desired, to enter his wounds. Like St. Thomas, let us be determined to discover the wounds of Jesus that are still visible today on the bodies of our brothers and sisters who are hungry, thirsty, naked, humiliated, in prison and in hospitals. By touching and caressing these wounds, we can adore God alive in our midst.